Warning, the following video contains a lot of waffle. Alright guys, welcome to something slightly different today. This is a post-commentated race of one of the Ring Meister events that I did last week. It's actually my first attempt at the Ring Meister in the Mazda MX5 from week number 3. Did quite a few of these last week because
your brain not working.
Because I really enjoy driving around the Ring Meister at the minute. Since I started driving it last season, it's really something that I wanted to drive more and get used to the track. The Race Lab relative says that we went off in P15. We actually went off P20, but because of our pit box location, we actually went off from P15. There was a few people still pit lane start behind us. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to use this kind of video's excuse to kind of sit down and just talk. You know, we don't really do a lot of talking. It's always about the racing on this channel. So yeah, I thought this was a good little race where I could just put it on the background and then rabble away too. So yeah, I'm coming up to like a year now of starting the channel and like getting like back into sim racing. We started off last Christmas. I bought a set of Corsa and all its content packs when it was on a dirt cheap sale. And from there, obviously, we've got into iRacing, which has now become predominantly my favoured sim to go to over Assetto Corsa. Obviously, we used to do a lot of racing on WSS and LFM, kind of those two exclusively. I kind of fell out of love a little bit with LFM. It was, I'd say the driving standards were getting a little bit, yeah, bad, really. I know obviously you can come across races on iRacing where the driving standards are less than adequate, shall we say. But yeah, LFM was just starting to become a real big problem. So like I said, I just started driving more and more iRacing, but I've always said that I wanted to keep racing on WSS because that's where I started. That's my like roots and my entry level into like what I call like modern sim racing, and where I am today. So yeah, obviously from Assetto Corsa, like I said, we branched into iRacing and really enjoyed my journey so far. This is the 4th season now that I've taken part in. We joined, I think it was the middle of season 2 last year when we actually started to join iRacing and actually get involved. And you know, we've kind of progressed through the license systems and more races have become available to us. And one of my like biggest things that I find, it's not necessarily a problem, but I kind of feel like I should be progressing more than I actually am on iRacing. And I know probably a lot of people say this, and some of you might be saying, well, actually, if you can't progress further than where you are, then maybe that's the level you are and that's maybe where you should be sitting. But honestly, kind of like hand on heart, I kind of believe I should have a higher I rating than I actually do. Now, I will say, like, outright, ratings aren't everything. So as long as you're having fun ultimately on the service and in the races that you're racing in, that is kind of like the pinnacle. And you know, there aren't many races where I don't have fun, so you know, I'm ticking that box off, and I really shouldn't worry too much about like the ratings and things. But it's got me thinking a lot lately, like, why is it that I am struggling to improve my I rating and kind of like, you know, get into higher ranked lobbies? And it might be a bit of a silly thing to say, but I think I need to race more. And yeah, like I say, it might be a silly thing to say, and it might be really obvious to some people that, you know what, of course, if you race more, then you're potentially going to gain more I rating and like improve your ratings kind of thing. But let me kind of explain that in a little bit more detail and kind of go into a little more depth. So for anybody who obviously regularly watches the channel, you'll know that I kind of like have 2 core series. That's kind of the way I've kind of run the channel on iRacing since I joined the platform.
Thank you very much.
I've you know, kind of had a sports car series and a Formula series.
Man, what are you doing, man?
And when I first started in WSS and LFM, like every day I was racing you know, MX5 races,
You're
probably 2 on
talking about,
WSS, 1 on
safety
LFM.
overtaking, but
So I was
man,
getting
what are you
lots
doing,
of
man?
races in, and it was helping me to kind of like build my rankings a little bit and, you know, improve. And it's not that I'm not spending enough time on the iRacing platform, of course, but so what I'm trying to get to is, I think because I focus on 2 particular series, I spend a lot of time in the week just kind of practicing and in practice sessions. So I'm always practicing for that one race I'm going to do that week. So I might spend, you know, 2 or 3 hours getting used to the car and track combo, trying to improve my lap times, looking at telemetry, stuff like that, to see where I can kind of improve and trying to get the most out of the corner. But all of that time is being focused on a single race. And obviously when you're looking at it from a point of view that potentially I want to improve my iRacing and get in more competitive lobbies, well, racing one race a week, putting all that time into one race a week, isn't going to do that at all. And it's, like I say, it's something I've come to realise over the last sort of few weeks that, yeah, I really do need to race a little bit more. So I've kind of been trying over the last couple of weeks just to do, you know, more of like the rookie series. So I've been doing a lot more of the MX5 rookies. I've done a few production car challenges, though we was doing that a bit towards the end of last season anyway, so doing that now isn't anything new. But yeah, just trying to jump on into races at times of the week, and, you know, not to be less competitive, but not spend so much time focusing on 2 races in a week. You know, I'm putting all that practice effort. At the end of the day, yes, I'm driving new cars every season. I need to get a feel for the cars and a feel for the tracks if I haven't driven at the tracks before. But it's not really worth it in the grand scheme of things if I want to get more competitive races. So, like I say, it's a real obvious thing, and some people might be saying, well, yeah, of course you need to race more if you want to improve your rating. But yeah, just the way I've been kind of going about it, and the way I've kind of not been racing and focusing on races. Does that make sense? I hope that kind of makes sense, the way I've kind of explained that. I've kind of been, just been stuck in this rut of like, okay, this is what I'm racing this season, this is what I'm going to race, and nothing else. And it's a real shame because, like I say, one of the main reasons I want to kind of improve my iRacing as well is John often asks me, oh, are you free for a race? Do you want to jump into a race? But I find, and I feel like we have to be really specific about what we pick, because there's such a discrepancy on iRacing between our iRatings that we have to find something with a lower kind of lobbied, or a lower lobby count to be able to even stand a chance of like getting in the same race together. It's really a shame. And then what you kind of find is something that I found last.
Car number 2.
I just let that guy talk. What I found is, like, a lot last season is, I think because of the times of day I raced well in some of these race series, there's not really a lot of people on, so the lobbies are uber competitive, and that's like another reason why it's really difficult sometimes to gain iRating, because when you've got a single split of, say, I don't know, 12 to 15 cars, but you've got drivers in there that are ranging from kind of like 7k to 0.8.
I will not fight you, Daniel.
You know, you're racing against like the really, really competitive cars that you don't stand a chance against, versus the cars that are probably a lot slower than me and aren't really competitive to me. So it can be really hard to like gain iRating because of that. So yeah, it's kind of like one of the reasons I do kind of want to improve my iRating, so that, you know, obviously when John kind of asks you to jump into anything, we don't have to be so specific and so limited about what we are doing. So yeah, I hope all that kind of like makes sense, and I just want to kind of preface that once again, that I don't kind of want to get bogged down in thinking that, you know, ratings are everything and you have to kind of be racing hard and improving your ratings all the time. It's not all about the ratings. I do want to kind of re-underline that it is about having fun, even if sometimes, you know, it is pretty hard to have fun on iRacing. Reason I kind of like branching on to like it's hard to have fun sometimes is like, another thing I kind of want to talk about is just like driving standards. I know it's kind of contradictory to what I just said about like LFM being bad for driving standards and iRacing tends to be better, but I don't know, not necessarily driving standards, but I kind of want to understand like how I kind of want to find that balance of being aggressive without being like forceful, if that makes sense. I find a lot of the time that, and I've said this like in multiple videos before, I find that I'm quite a passive driver, so I don't like to get involved too much in incidents, which often I think maybe if I could have stood my ground, then potentially I could have either held the place. I wouldn't have lost the place. I don't know, I'm still like in a stage in racing where I'm very, very nervous, and although I reiterate the point that ratings aren't everything, I kind of sometimes feel like my safety rating is more important to me than my I rating, because I look at my safety rating as a way of saying to other people, look, I'm a safe driver and you can race side by side with me. And I don't know whether it's not just a case I just come against people who are in that same mindset, or whether I just come across people a lot of the time who just want to completely win it in lap one. I don't know, but yeah, the aggressiveness of some people, I think, take my SR10 race at Spa this week, for example. I was kind of ahead of the car at the apex. I braked. He was later on the brakes, which is fair enough. He's trying to hold his position, but just there was no like sense there from the guy to kind of like take the outside line. He was just like, okay, I've braked later, therefore I'm entitled to the corner. I'm just going to turn in on the normal racing line, despite the fact I was on the inside. And there's a lot of that like idiocy on iRacing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to block you there, mate. I just caught the curb a bit too much.
That was me apologising to the car before. Car behind, sorry, because I was I caught the curb and got a bit of a slide on off the curb. Yeah, there's a bit too much like the idiocy, unfortunately, on the platform, where people are just a bit too aggressive too quickly. They don't try and play the long game, especially in like longer races like the sprint races and things. I mean, my 4-hour PCC race wasn't too bad, but an example from John's race, he did a 2-hour endurance race around Watkins Glen at the weekend, and lap one people were just diving in, causing incidents. John got taken out in lap one because people are just getting too punchy and too aggressive on lap one. And I don't know what to say about that. Does it get better the higher I rated lobbies you get to, or is it just a common problem?
Watch out, Felipe.
Looking at safety ratings, is that always a good way to gauge how safe people are driving? Because you could look at people who are higher safety rated, but they still just throw it in. But then is that just down to my inexperience?
They're going into each other the whole time, trying to ram each other off the road.
I'm interested to see what kind of you guys.
Number 2, if he's coming to you.
Sorry, I'm just getting. I'd be interested to see what you guys feel on it.
We're not racing that hard, Felipe, because we've had no contact yet, mate. So
sure.
It's all good.
Good, Nick. Try to talk. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what you guys think. Does it get better as you progress through higher rated lobbies? Are people just generally over aggressive on iRacing? Is there a way to kind of improve my own aggressiveness? I did the AI season last season, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I was constantly tweaking the AI levels throughout that series just to kind of try and balance out. Because one thing I've always found when you trying to race AI in any sort of racing game is how do you gauge how difficult you should set it initially? You're always kind of trying to find that balance of not too easy but not too hard. So that's why I was kind of constantly kind of tweak it all the way through the season when we did that. But it was such good fun, going wheel to wheel, because the AI on iRacing, I found they don't mess around. They are really quite aggressive, and it's really quite refreshing to drive against.
What the hell are you doing?
It's really quite refreshing to drive against AI that isn't just passive and think, okay, the player's near me, I'm going to back out and let them through. I did find that there is a setting on the AI on iRacing to do that.
He's very dirty now.
However,
what's his name?
I didn't turn it on, and it was great fun to have them so aggressive. So
The guy who's
Yeah,
behind you, Louis.
I just don't know whether or not
Yeah, I see him. He's trying to.
it's
dive
an easy
the hell out
way
of me.
to kind of like become more aggressive against players.
Look what he's telling all the time.
Um,
Please,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just
he
my
isn't the guy that is racing.
naivety or inexperience in racing, and maybe it's just something that comes over time. But I don't know. Would you guys rather sit behind and wait, or just like think, oh, you know what? I guess the ultimate question is,
You can't
you're
overtake it, Papa. What the
moving
hell is wrong with
or
you?
shaping up for an overtake. At what point in the race,
Do it on the
or
straight.
at what point, like in the build up to the move, do you think, right, I'm going how far
Racing IQ,
behind,
man.
or
That
how
is
far alongside the car in front do you think you have to be before you can genuinely say, I'm going to have a go at this position? Because I suppose in my mindset, and again, it comes back to me being wanting to race fairly and cleanly, and being quite naive against like racing other people. Not naive, naive's probably not the right word, but you know, I kind of see it. You know, if I'm not even halfway alongside a car normally, I will say normally, then I wouldn't go for a move, because to be fair, it's always going to be a hard move, especially down the inside, because a lot of moves I would do down the inside. So if I'm not halfway on the inside, then it's going to open up the opportunity for the car behind just to turn in, much like Spa, just turn in too early, take off your front of your nose, and yeah, just completely end your race. But I don't know, maybe I'm just not aggressive. Maybe I just need to toughen up. I'm not a tough enough racer. And like I say, maybe it all comes with experience, and you know, maybe I've just spent the last 8 minutes or so completely waffling about something, and all you guys have sat there thinking, oh god, what are you talking about, Nick? You're just like a complete talking nonsense. But I don't know, maybe I'm going around in circles, but I'm just kind of doing it off the cuff and just trying to, you know, speak what comes into my mind. It's kind of some things that I've kind of just wanted to get off my chest for a few weeks, really. And yeah, the aggressiveness has been really mad. I do feel like a massive improvement for me, though, is like I'm not getting on the radio as much, exception PCC race. But to be fair, the other guy started that one. I think, you know, he was kind of like, I just questioned, you know, what was he doing, because he did kind of drift in front of me, I feel, and like ran me off the road. Then he kind of came back with the kind of like the abuse and everything, and I kind of lost my cool for a little bit, but we kind of smoothed it all out. But again, that was an uber aggressive move. I don't know, do people not use spotters? Do people just turn their spotters off and then think, okay, I can't see my wing mirrors, this is my field of view, all I can see is my rear view mirror, oh, there's nothing in my rear view mirror, I'll just turn over and turn across. I don't know, do people not use spotters? Can people not, you know, I'm quite lucky that I run triples, so I can see quite a lot more. I can see both my rear view mirrors, so I can kind of see roughly where they are, but I always run a spotter. Always wait for that clear call before I would move across to somebody. And even then, even if I'm racing hard and like I'm creeping past, and my spotter calls right clear on the left, and I like move over to the left, I still feel really bad, because I don't want to give the impression that I'm literally like cutting them off. But like down the Kemmel Straight is a prime example of that. You know, you go up Eau Rouge, you're in the strip stream with someone, you've like drafted them all the way down the straight. You get to the end and you've had that spotter call to say that you're clear on the left.
Yeah, I'm gonna report.
And then you cut across so that you're like, on the right line, racing line for the braking zone. But no, I just feel really bad. And again, maybe I'm just too nice. Am I too nice? Is that what it all boils down to? I need a bit more ruthlessness in my racing stature.
Calm down, guys.
So that's good.
Because, you know, why should I feel bad that I've just moved across in front of somebody when I'm completely clear to them?
If it's always the same issue, then
let me know what you think, though, guys. You know,
am
I too nice? Do I need to be more aggressive? How do I be more aggressive? You know, what your thoughts are on my comments about?
Guys, but just remember where you are and just keep concentrating on the race.
Yeah, everybody to keep their head.
Argue about it after.
Yeah, just trying to kind of let me know your thoughts on the comments about the racing more as well. You know, is it a silly comment? You know, is it something obvious, or you know, I don't know. just let me know what you guys are thinking about different things. Anyway, should we go back to the race? Let's have a look at see what's going on in the race. We're on to lap number 3 here, and yeah, it's been a really good race for us. Like I said, we had a pit lane start. I said we were listed to start at P20. We're now on to P7. And so far, touch wood, it's been an absolutely clean race. Like you can kind of hear on the chat, everybody's kind of losing their heads a little bit on the radio at the minute. And I'm just kind of telling everybody, just remember where you are, calm down, just make it to the finish line. Because, I've said it before, I find like Nords isn't somewhere you go racing, it's somewhere you go driving. So you drive to survive at Nords. If you get a good result out of it, then that's an absolute bonus. But no, you just drive to survive at Nords. You don't go racy to here. It's a very easy place, very difficult track to, very easy to make a mistake, catch a curb, go a little bit over speed, especially in this tight wooded section. It's all wooded. On this tight technical section, like coming up after the carousel, it's very easy just to go too hot into somewhere and end it in the barriers. So I just think sometimes here, people just tend to forget where they are, and they get too aggressive, too racy, and often their race ends in the barrier, which a pit lane start at Nords is probably like the only place where it's never a bad thing to start in the pit lane, because it's always a guarantee that you're going to pick up places. Because I don't think I've ever seen a Nords race where at least half a dozen people haven't crashed out at some point because they've been too racy or just not really concentrating on what was going on here. But like I said, we're up to P7 here, coming into the final half of the lap, and we're just kind of trying to stay behind Ethan here, just to bide our time, and hopefully we can make it to the dosager behind Ethan and make a last attack into the final corner. Again, I'm just not being too aggressive here, just giving him a lot of space. Don't want to ruin his race by being uber aggressive here, but at the same time can't give him too much space because I don't want to fall too far behind and then out of the draft. So but yeah, I've really fallen in love with Nords from driving it from the first time last season in the Skippy, I think it was, when the first time I drove it. For now, it's just like whenever I get a chance, I just love driving this track. A little bit wide there. But yeah, it's such a fun track to drive. So rewarding to drive as well, and I think I've driven it to a point that much now where I've learnt the track layout, which is like one of the big things and one of the daunting things I think about Nords, is the fact that it's so big. Just actually getting familiar with the track and like learning where the corners are is a massive thing. But yeah, we're coming up to the final probably quarter of the lap here, and this is where we kind of like really need to reel back into Ethan as we approach the Dossinger. But no, this was a good race for me. Like I said, this was the first one I did. I've done a few of these during the week. I always jump onto the Ring Meister whenever I get a chance. First race of the week. It was also a 0x race as well, which is always a big win in anybody's book, I think, around here, like I just said. So yeah, and I think there was a few games played here. Ethan realised I was right on the back of him coming up to the straight, and he was like, you go, you go, you go. And I was like, nope, I'm going to tuck in behind you, mate. I am not going. You better put the hammer down, mate. And he's just doing everything to try and kind of slow me down here and make him go in front. And in the end, I was a bit like, okay, you're going to play the games. That's fine. We'll go.
Well, this is awkward.
As I kind of say, kind of side by side down the Dossiger. And actually, I'm saying it's awkward because Rory behind has caught us up. And he actually came steaming down the middle here. And,
no, Nick,
I didn't mean to bump Rory.
don't draft me like that. Come on, man.
Sorry, mate.
But it was kind of more to the case that I'm just trying to get that extra bit of speed to kind of
I'm not a fan of drafting myself, mate, so it's all good.
I mean, we're ahead of them here, but ultimately I think Ethan is going to keep it down the inside, unfortunately, for us.
Also, don't be a dickhead, maybe?
No, it's not. Okay, that's not. Oh no, here he is. I can say, I remember Ethan was like ahead of us at the end, and we didn't take the position. But yeah, it was great as we almost get the braking wrong. A little bit of a love tap, 0x contact, but yeah, it's just a bit too heavy on the brakes. And there we go. Bring it home for a nice little P7
Gaffer,
finish
you're
on that
getting
one.
reported like an idiot. Wow, you are mentally retarded.
First race of the at Nords. But yeah, anyway, like I said, a bit of a different video. Hope it wasn't too much waffle. Let me know on your thoughts, like what I spoke about in this one, whether or not you agree, disagree.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a like. And if you want to see more racing content from me, make sure to hit subscribe. There's plenty more coming real soon. If you want to get involved with the action on iRacing, head down to the description where you'll find a link, and hopefully I'll see you on track real soon. But as always, thank you for watching. Until next time.
Good race, good race.
See ya.